Hi everyone, welcome back to Sports Kathi. So today, we have a what I call as a panelist view. So we have, as you can see on the screen, we have four panelists, and what we will be talking about is the Australian series. I know it's a bit late to talk about the Australian series, but then the hangover from the series was heavy. So we just took our time off after the I would say crunch series, and we thought, okay, we will take ourselves a break and then come back and talk about it. So, I'm sure that all of us will have our own opinion, our own experience on how the series was, what we thought was the critical point in the series, what we thought was the main turning point in each of the matches and also in the series, and who played the important part of it. For me personally, one of the key things that happened in the final day, because for me, it was a working day here, it was a Tuesday morning. So one of the key things was I was having, work and meetings going on. So I really couldn't concentrate much on the match. So what I was doing was, I was basically attending a meeting or talking on something and then running onto my TV room to check what the score is or check what the action is going on. So it is kind of a to and fro motion, up and down. But then, here we have someone in our panel, Karan, who was much more fortunate, who had an opportunity to be at the stadium, not only for the last day, but also for most of the days in the test match. So, so what I'm going to throw up is like, I'm giving the view to Karan to explain to us like how he felt being there in the middle of the action, how he felt the atmosphere and how he felt the match was. So Karan, off to you.
Thanks, Rohit. Thanks a lot. So before I get to my experience, I just want to tell everyone that my oldest memory of cricket has been around 99, 98 when Sachin played that sandstorm inning in Sharjah. And since then, I have these memories of India playing some amazing cricket. However, because I grew up in the Middle East, I never got the chance of watching India at the stadium. Then my earliest test memory was I think 2001 when we won at Eden Gardens. When I was about 7 years old, not understanding what Rahul Dravid and VVS Lakshman had robbed the Australian side, which is also called the so-called best test team of all time. So at that point of time, I was very happy India won, but I just didn't understand what's happening at 7 years old. You don't grasp what has happened at that point of time. Come to 2021, I'm here in Australia pursuing my masters. I had the opportunity of going for day 1, 3, and 5. Luckily, I missed day 2 and 4 when it was raining, and which allowed the game to be carried out till day 5, right? Now, the one thing about the victory was day 5 was special, but the whole build up to day 5 was very important because we had lost the first test when 36 all out. And the Australians like character, but when you're out at 36, they like to say that, hey, your team is not good, you're sledging, you're missing Virat Kohli, and so on and so forth. And then we came back with that Melbourne victory and then that draw at Sydney. So the Australians were a bit skeptical about, even though they don't have their main team, how are these guys playing so good? And come to the morning of Gabba test, I remember I reached the stadium at around 7:38 Australia time, which is about 3:30, 4 a.m. India time. And I was texting on a WhatsApp group saying, I can see Bumrah running, I can see Vidyaman Saha running, Bumrah might play, Ashwin might play. And then when the toss happened, we had a bowling squad with just 3 test matches rolled. And Mohammad Siraj was opening the bowling for us. I remember first over, last ball, he gets David Warner caught behind. And I'm like, wow, that is the thrill of test cricket, right? Now, keeping that in mind, I'm like, wow, India, like watching India play and being an Indian among those, being for few Indians on day one among a lot of Australians, it felt pride that, hey, man, I have to support my country. That was one good thing. But the one thing about Australians is when I saw the game in all 3 days, Australians like to sledge. And the one thing which I've noticed of the Australian crowd is that up till 12 p.m., you see a different side of them. But post 12 p.m. or post lunch, there's a different side of Australians that come out. What happens is they start coming in early around 9, 10, and they have their beer glasses throughout the day. So till 12, 12:30, they're a bit sober with respect to what's happening. They'll be a little nice to you. They'll say things like, okay, Virat Kohli is good, Bumrah is good. But as that beer keeps on increasing, post 12:31, they go all in on sledging. So I still remember on day 5 when Pujara was batting and he was battling out Cummins and Hazelwood, a lot of the Australian fans were like, hey Pujara, you have a bat to play with. Because he was just leaving them and leaving all the balls and getting body blows, and that would frustrate them. And then once that Shubman Gill, then that I think Mitchell Stark's over when Shubman Gill hit him on the offside, I'm like, I know we have a bat and I know our players can bat. And that is when, these Australians, even though they're a bit drunk, They don't like that aspect of it. Now, what happened is on the final day, when in about the first and second session, I mean, I was pretty confident that India will not win the game. We are going for a draw because we lost Rohit Sharma early on the fifth day, and Pujara and Gill started batting, and they batted well throughout the lunch, and they had batted about 80 overs, and then Shubman Gill at 91, Nathan Lyon got him. So the good thing about that match was whenever one team started dominating, the other team came in. When Australia was batting and Australia had a good partnership, India came in with a good wicket. Whereas when India was playing and India was batting really well, Australian bowlers came in with another wicket. So what happened is, because the series was neck to neck, there was no one team which could say, "Hey man, my team is better than yours." And that is what happened on the fifth day. I mean, Shubman Gill would play well, but Shubman Gill also got out. Chiteshwar Pujara would play well, would take body knocks, but he also got out. That banter kept happening neck to neck, and was a very close competition. What happened then is, when Rahane came out, I'm like, now Rahane and Pujara will play defensive. And being an Indian fan, we are not used to fifth day winning abroad. I mean, okay, if you're watching those matches in India, it's a different thing, where we've won 33 matches of the 43 we've played since 2011. But coming to Australia, I mean, 2018 was a different scenario when they didn't have Warner and Smith. They have their full squad. We don't have our full squad. We have a totally new side here, and then you lose Shubman Gill at 91, and then Pujara is taking body blows, and then Rahane comes in. I'm like, okay, this is when the partnership will slow down. They'll start hitting. They'll probably defend. They will not hit. And then Nathan Lyon bowls a ball outside off stump, and I see Rahane charge him down the leg side and hit him for a six. And this is the Indian captain doing that. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is not India. Like, the Indians will never do this. This is some new India I'm witnessing. And when Rahane hit that six to Nathan Lyon, the intent was clear. Whatever you guys come with, we are going for the win. Rahane did get out of about 25. But I felt when Rahane came in with that character of saying, hey, I'm not going to back out, that is when I felt that the Australians got a bit scared. And then when Rishabh Pant came in, I mean, to be very honest, I've heard this one thing, that when India would visit Australia, they won't be scared of Sachin Tendulkar as much as they would be scared of VVS Lakshman. Because post their Eden Gardens innings, VVS Lakshman has won more games for India, keeping the test games in mind. The same thing has happened this time. They don't hate Cheteshwar Pujara, but Pujara gets to their nerves because he doesn't give in the wicket. So when the bowlers are bowling at 144, 145, 150, I mean, on day 3, I remember when there was a beautiful partnership between Sundar and Shardul Thakur, Mitchell Stark kept increasing his pace. They're like 146, 147. And the Australians behind me were like, okay, go for his head, go for his head. And then I think it was Shardul Thakur when Nathan Lyon came on, and he hit him for a 6 to get to his 50. So things like that in my head was like, especially on coming back to the third day, sorry for being a bit over enthusiastic about it. On the third day when we had gone for it, there was almost an Indian collapse. We were about 180 for 6, okay? And the Australian was in the stadium, went up, and the Bharat Mata Ki Jai and India, all that went low. I'm like, oh man, we're going to concede a 130 or 140 run lead. I don't know what's going to happen. And then comes Shardul Thakur, first ball, I think it was 6th or 7th ball, he hits a straight drive. He's a number 8 bowler for India, man. And all the Australians, there was a pin drop silence, and just the Indians going boom, boom, boom. Oh, that was a day 3 was beautiful. When those two guys batted, I think had a partnership of 110, 120. The Australians lost their shit that day. And same thing happened on day 5. So what happened is, we lost Gill, we lost Pujara when the new ball came in. That was a beautiful delivery when Cummins got Pujara. So we had lost Pujara, we had lost Sharma, we had lost Gill, we had lost Rahane, and then you had Pant and Mayank Agarwal batting. And they were just doing things here and there. And then Agarwal also got out. And then when Pant got into the zone where he started hitting on the off, on the leg, so there was a point where Cummins had bowled so many overs that they had taken the new ball, but they couldn't go ahead with Stark because they didn't want to give it to Stark, but Cummins was so tired that they kept bowling with Cummins, and Pant just kept hitting him. I mean, he bowled him outside off, he hit him on the off. He bowled him a bouncer, he chicked, and he hit him for a 4. And then there were a few wrong ones which Nathan Lyon bowled. It hit the crack and the ball came towards us. And yeah, that was a beautiful experience, and especially the winning shot. So till the third session on day 5, I was a bit skeptical of India winning. because I was very happy with India just getting this to a draw, because if we draw the game, it would have been a big thing, because we would retain the Border Gavaskar trophy and Australia would not like it. But then what Rishabh Pant did and that boundary he hit, I mean, I wish you guys were there, but oh man, I like sometimes I feel that words aren't enough. Like, even though I can watch the video over and over again and everything, I think I've seen the highlight at least 5 times after that day, but still that feeling of Rishabh Pant hitting that four, and oh, that was beautiful.
I mean, I completely understand that, watching on TV, there are such a special things. Obviously, being there is extra special. Just one quick question on that. At what point, or maybe second session, maybe third session, what point did the crowd start sensing that, okay, the momentum is changing. It's going to be India having the upper hand, where as you said, the Indian, flags or Indian noises became louder than the Australian noise. At what point did that change start happening? Was it when Washington Sundar came in? When was that?
So I feel there were 3 instances when that happened. I think there was the first or second session when there was one Mitchell Stark over where he got hit for 3 boundaries. Okay. Now I know that was very early in the day, but those three, I think he went for about 22 runs in that over. And at that point of time, when he got hit for 22 runs, the Indian crowd went like, okay, these guys can do it. And the Australians went like, okay, what did Stark just do? The second thing was when I think when Washington Sundar came into batting after we lost Mayank Agarwal to that catch, I think Matthew Wade took, and Washington Sundar comes, and I think it was Pat Cummins who was bowling. He goes on his back foot and he punches him down the ground. When that four went through, right, I could see the Australian shoulders drop and I could see the Indian fans go up, and that is when I felt the Indian flag started waving, and after that, I think that's it. And then, there was another thing when Sundar was batting. Nathan Lyon had come to ball, and he had bowled 2 specific balls. I remember, which had come towards us as well. He had bowled it on the wrong one, hit the crack, and Tim Paine should have caught it, but he didn't, and it went for a 4. So I felt those 3 instances predominantly, but I think it was the third session when Indian fans sensed it, and I felt that after the second session, the number of fans coming into the stadium, Indian fans, that went up. But after the second session,
I really enjoyed the fact that the way you talked about the fun fact that you go to the stadium and then the Australian crowd greets you, and then by 12:30 they get boosted up, and suddenly the the sledging side of Australia opens up. Did you sledge anything back to them? You sounded really angry in WhatsApp.
So what happened is there was this few times when I had gone to the washroom to wash my face. I think it was on day 3. This one Australian guy comes and he goes like, "Why are you already crying, mate?" I'm like, I forgot. Wait, 1 second, I forgot what I told him. I did sledge him back, but I told him that you just wait for the game to end. Don't just start saying things at this point of time. Because what happens with these guys is if you give them a little bit of slack, they take the whole thing out of you. Like, you give them a finger, they'll pull your whole hand, and that's an Australian tradition, especially when it comes to cricket. They don't like giving you an inch. Neither the fans nor their players. I mean, they might look very nice to you, but the fans, they like, especially what happened in Sydney with Mohammad Siraj, that he was racially abused. A few things were said even on day 1, and a few people were kicked out. So sometimes they do cross the line. But mostly, most fans are very polite. They just like some banter. They just like to pull your legs. Pull your leg, I mean. But it's also, if you give it back to them with correct humor, they take it back as well. So I don't currently remember a specific incident that happened, or I forgot the reply I gave to him. But there were these 2 instances when I had an interaction with Australian fans, and they were very happy with saying that, okay, this Indian knows what he's there, or like why he's there and what his team is doing. So yeah, I think half the fans are nice. They take the banter in the right way, but sometimes they don't take it in the right way, and they get a bit charged up and say stupid things. But yeah.
No, I think as far as speaking about crossing lines is concerned, Karan was on WhatsApp call with me during the last session, and I remember him telling me, "I'm scared I might be kicked out because I might say a few things if we win." And I was just trying to say, calm down, enjoy the day, have a great time, soak the experience. The Indian team that has just created history is in a few touching meters of your eyesight. And that's a great place to be. I was extremely jealous that day, but also proud that somebody from my family, my like friend of all of ours, got to witness the day in with real eyesight. And I'm so happy he's sharing this with all of us and all our fans. So thank you so much for taking the time, Karan. Just a couple of questions come to mind. I mean, once the test match gets over, people move on. But because you are in Brisbane, where it all happened, and you still continue to be there, how has the mood been around you? What did you see? Cold behavior from Australians around you? Was the city sad for a few days? Or no, Australia is one of those places where people just move on quickly and just they take it in their stride, because we are hearing a lot of things in the news about there being unrest in the Aussie squad. A lot of bad things are coming in news articles about how Cricket South Africa feels cheated and sort of mishonored because of the cancellation of the series. I'm just wondering if the entire sourness from the loss at Gabba has any role to play in what's going on right now, and do you sense that there is an unrest in the Aussie fan base at all?
I mean, there's definitely unrest in the Australian fans when they lost to India at the Gabba, because it's been the fortress for about 32, 33 years, and they take a lot of pride in that. I mean, even if the same thing would have happened to me, if let's say if India doesn't if India keeps winning for 33 years in Wankhede, it's a pride. I mean, like I'm unbeatable at that ground, right? So when they lost, 90% of the Australian fans left quickly, because I've been to the Gabba on day 1, day 3. I've been there for BBL matches. Australian fans like to stay till the game is over or till the presentation starts. Okay, that is one day when before the last ball was bowled, the Australian fans who were sledging, who were talking too much, they had left. Now coming to what happened after the match, to give you a small example, I had gone for a doctor's appointment recently. So I called up the receptionist to book an appointment, and I told her I'm from India, and she was surprised that I was from India, and she knew what was happening. And she's like, "Your boys played really well." So a lot of these people you meet at the bus, you greet them, they were very happy with that. Okay, India played well, but then you also meet these hardcore Australian fans like us who did not like it, and they're like, "Okay, your B team beat us." I mean, that's the truth, but still, they were a bit, it's a heartbroken. They were a bit too sad about it, but they couldn't do anything about it. And that's one thing which will now affect how the players support them, because in Australia, what's happening right now is their fans are pro Paine, half of them are pro and half of them are with Paine, and half of them are against him. And same goes for Langer. Some of the fans don't like the way he manages the team. They feel he's too strict, because the Australian culture is just being light and you be good and then you win games. That is how it's happened. Sometimes they feel that that's an opinion I discussed while out of the game as well, that they feel that Langer is a bit too strict, or he's strict with his ways. So let's see how it goes. Let's see whether Tim Paine loses his captaincy or not. But then, yeah.
Nice. So thanks. No, and just coming back to the final day. We are all just able to see what comes on the TV screens, but typically, were you able to see any signals or some kind of talk coming in continuously from the Indian dressing room to Rishabh Pant while he was playing the way he was? Between overs, was there continuous exchange of messages, or how do you think the players were understanding the situation that was at hand? What the score that they were chasing? What are some of those smaller details? I mean, I'm sure you see a lot of cricket on TV as well. So what was that one or two things you were able to see about the sport or about team management in particular, about how players behave in between overs that you can share with us?
The one thing which stands out about players is Manas Labuschagne. He likes to talk a lot. That guy likes to talk a lot. I was even if he's sitting at the boundary, sometimes you can hear him, and that's how much he likes to talk. With respect to instructions coming in, I think till the time Rishabh Pant came to bat, and because Pujara was getting body blown by the Australian bowlers, there was a lot of time when the physio kept coming in. So that was a time when a lot of discussion was happening. But the one change I saw was that when Rishabh Pant came into the ground, there was not a lot of instructions being sent from the dressing room. They let him be who he is, and whenever he wanted a glove, or let's say Washington wanted something, or they wanted water, only then there was some instruction coming in. Otherwise, they allowed him to play the game he wants to be. Because when he hit that reverse sweep in test match, I'm not used to that. I'm pretty sure if some instruction comes in, they're going to tell him, don't do that. Or the way Washington Sundar got out on that reverse flip or whatever. Those I think if you give instructions, these guys can't do that thing. So that's what I feel, that when these guys were batting the punts and the Washington Sundar, I felt there was not too much of an instruction coming in. But otherwise, yeah, the team was allowing them to do what they wanted.